Welcome to Open Book with Amanda, where today we're going to learn about what makes relationships fail and how you possibly could save your relationship. Let's open that chapter today on what makes relationships fail and how you possibly could save it if you're in this situation. Number one is poor communication or no communication. That is the number one killer of a good relationship. Is not communicating your problems, not communicating your issues, your things that you want out of your relationship, not communicating your vulnerabilities, things that hurt you, things that might be said that hurt you. If you don't talk about these things, how can the other person know that it's bothering you? It's something wrong with it. Because after a while, if it keeps on happening, you're going to get tired of that person. You ain't going to want to deal with them. You ain't even going to want to talk to them, which is going to lead to you not being in a relationship. But let's change that around and start communicating. If there's an issue in the relationship, like, say for instance, you don't like the way they maybe sit on your furniture, or you don't like the way they react to certain conversations, then talk to them about it. Don't be angry when you talk to them about it, but talk to them about it to get an understanding of why you don't like it and why it might be hurting you. And you can change it around. Maybe make your relationship a whole lot better. Number two, not learning how to grow together. And I know you might ask, Amanda, what does that mean? Well, for one, what are your goals in life? The relationship. Are you wanting this relationship to be a long-term relationship, or is it just a for a season relationship? And what I mean by that, if it's a long-term relationship, if you're both looking forward to last for many, many years, then a lot of times what happens is you're not aligning your goals together on the things that you want out of the whole relationship. Whether it's learning about how to take care of children before you have children, you're learning about your finances and how to work together with money, who is the better person with the money. You're just not learning how to do things together, and eventually that's going to make you come apart. But if you start doing things together, it'll make your relationship a whole lot better, because you know that you can trust this person with how you handle money. You can trust this person with how they handle your kids. There's a whole lot of things that you can do and have that trust in them, so that you can grow more and more in a relationship. Because the more you do together, the more you can understand what the other person needs. And sometimes you might know more than what they need, and they're willing to let you know what is needed. But that also kind of helps you grow too, because they see, well, okay, you're willing to work with me even though I might not learn it or understand it at that time. So if you want this relationship to last a long time, learn to grow together on each other, things you like, your dislikes, and so forth. Number three, not being upfront and honest from the beginning of the relationship, or being honest at all. And I mean, being truthful in the relationship. If you start a relationship off with lies and so forth, eventually one is going to know that you're doing it, and then they ain't going to have no trust in you. They ain't going to believe what you say, because they already know that you're a liar. As the old saying goes, believe people with what they show you and not with what they tell you. Because you can tell somebody anything. Actions speak louder than words. So with that being said, if your relationship is going down the drain, most likely it's because you're telling lies. You're not being honest about whatever the situation might be in a relationship, whether it's with money, whether it's with you not being faithful, or you're not telling the truth about how you truly feel about the person, and you just stringing them along. So be honest with the person that you're with. You want a relationship, you want it to last, then be upfront about what it is that you want out of them, and be truthful in what you're saying, and stick to and be dependable on what you're saying. Because I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not, then that relationship is going to fail. It's going to deteriorate, and you're not going to be with the person whether you want to or not, because they're going to look at you as a person that just ain't going to be honest with them. Number 4, playing games. And I'm not talking about video games, even though they do cause problems. But I'm talking about the type of games where you're manipulative, you're using them for personal gains. You're doing things that you know the person don't like, but you intentionally do it anyway. Those type of games. You don't do that with nobody that you're supposed to be in a relationship with and you caring about. That's doomed to fail. But if you're, so to speak, kind of testing the person out, that's one thing, but still that you need to hold that to a limit, because there ain't so much a person can take from you doing things that just don't feel comfortable you doing. I mean, being manipulative, trying to get what you can get out of a person for your own personal gain, that's very hurtful, and it may cause somebody to hurt you because of it, and you don't want that, whether it's mentally or physically. So definitely do not play games with people. Well, people ain't got time for that. Number 5, not setting boundaries for yourself. Healthy boundaries. And what I mean is, have standards. When you start a relationship, there's just things that you're just not going to accept from people, as well as the other person should be the same way too. You set those boundaries so that people know how to respect you, and also know that they have your best interest at heart. If they're not doing that, doomed to fail, because you're always going to be mad or arguing over a situation, whereas you didn't set that boundary, so they keep doing it, or they keep walking over you over things that you know you don't like. And it goes right back to what I said at the beginning about communication. That's one of those things where you have to communicate. Now, I say communication is key to a healthy relationship, because if you want to set those boundaries, how are they going to know if you don't tell them? How are they going to know that you don't like certain things if you don't tell them that they do like certain things if you don't tell them? So set those boundaries right from the beginning. And sometimes you have to set some boundaries as time go on, because you ain't going to learn a person in 1 or 2 days. It takes time to learn what are dislikes of people and what are likes of people, and vice versa, because sometimes you tend to things that you normally have done before you got involved with that person, you tend to kind of bring that into the relationship, and you just sometimes might be best to ask if it's okay if they do that sometimes, or might kind of test the waters a little bit to see how they react to it. And if you see that the reaction is not really to the point where you know that it's uncomfortable to them, then you know that that's something that you don't do. But still, yet, it's best to communicate those boundaries of things you just don't like, things that you're just not going to accept, so that the person can understand you and respect you at the same time. Number 6, little to no intimacy. And it not necessarily mean all the time just having sex. It's cuddling, it's holding hands, it's spending that quiet quality time with that significant other. And sometimes I know life gets in the way. You got to work, you got things you got to take care of, the kids, schoolwork, all sorts of things that could be in your life that it keeps you busy. But try to make some type of time for those moments, because it is important in a relationship. It's what keeps you bonded. It's what keeps you linked and connected together. But don't get me wrong, do not miss understand it for just sex, because if that's the case, then you're just looking for a friend with benefits and you're not looking for a relationship. But if you don't communicate that thing, like I said, another one of those communication things, then the relationship's doomed to fail anyway. Because one person is thinking, you want to be with me, you want to spend time with me, you want to make a relationship out of this thing, but you, on the other hand, want to just have a friend with benefits, and you're not communicating that, then that's going to make that person think that you want to be with them, and you don't. You just there for that moment, just for that season. I suggest that if you're doing that, then go ahead and end the relationship, or you should have communicated that at the beginning. But if you wonder, that's why the relationship failed. But in order for you to make sure that it don't happen, first and foremost, you need to communicate these things from the beginning to let it know where you stand, so that other person can know how far to take it and how far to go with it. It's not fair to the other person if you're going to play with them and use it just for that one thing, and the other person's intentions was a whole lot stronger than yours. So don't hurt that person, don't drag them along. And if you want to be in a better relationship, then that make sure that's one of those things that you talk about and communicate about. Number 7, lucky number 7. Well, it boils down to loss of trust in a person. Is the number one thing, the reason why relationships fail. You lose the trust in them because they are dishonest. You lose the trust in them because they just want you to be friends with benefits. You lose the trust in them because they don't want to communicate what they want. You lose the trust in them because they just won't be upfront and honest with you. You lose the trust in you because they're not learning with you how to grow with you. I mean, everything that I covered, pretty much it boils down to little or no trust. You ain't got no trust, you ain't got nothing in the relationship, and the relationship is going to fail. But utmost, if you want trust in your relationship, you start off with telling the truth and being honest. You start off with communicating. You start off telling them actually what you want, how you want life to be, and you talk about your dreams. You talk about all the things and wonderful things you would love to accomplish in your life and would love for that person to accomplish them with you. Then that's how you learn how to grow. If you do all of these things, your relationship won't fail. But if you do the total opposite of all of these things, your relationship is doomed to fail. Thank you for tuning in on this chapter, and I hope that this makes your relationship a whole lot better. I'm rooting for you to make better choices in your relationship. I'm rooting for you to actually sit down and learn how to communicate better with your significant other, or your new relationship, or the relationship is already doomed to fail. Both of y'all should sit down and write down the things that you don't like and what's happening in a relationship if you want it to be fixed. I guarantee you it can be fixed if you're willing to put in the work to fix it. So until the next chapter, bye.